Wait, let me get my notes. Okay. ASMR.
Should I do a little? All right, ready? And whisper. You gonna whisper something? Whisper.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, we're about to start this podcast episode, and it's gonna be about a fucking terrible movie.
Muffy.
What?
No, you do not.
It is.
Okay, we're getting into it. Ready?
Are we starting or not?
Let me do my intro before we fight.
Okay.
Hey, strangers! It's me, Mr. He, and welcome to another riveting episode of Calendar Ghouls. For those of you who are watching us online versus those of you who are listening to us via our podcast, I do have my own little Easter bunny pail. I love Easter. Growing up Christian, Easter is like the day. It's the reason you believe. You know, Christmas, baby. That is just the birth. That is just
Literally Christmas, baby.
Literally, baby. That is just the beginning. Easter is the climax. This is why we believe. This is what we've been waiting for. And baby, it has dwindled down to little gold Easter egg hunts and a big furry rabbit. And I live for Easter. Am I wearing my custom Wacky Wacko Seth Bogart Playboy Bunny condom Easter bunny ears? I am. And I'm feeling really gorgeous because today we are discussing an iconic film in the pantheon of Easter bunny horror. We're discussing Peter Rottentail. And joining me today is one of the hoppiest girls I know, Miss Muffy Meow. Hey, bunny. How you doing?
Hey, girl. Hey, little hippity hoppity.
I do the hip, the hop, the hip.
The hippity hip. I think
How
we're going to get
you?
demonetized. I'm doing fine. I'm very interested to talk about this movie today because it's I feel a very polarizing experience. I think that, you know, just for people like me who just like really are sensitive and, you know, really look for quality in life, it's definitely not that. So we're going to get into it.
I need to know, what are your thoughts and opinions on Easter? Do you celebrate Easter? Do you like Easter? Where does Easter land on the calendar for you?
Well, I celebrate Easter. I'm not religious or Christian or anything like that. I think like the message is cute. I think like resurrection and like second chances and like all of that. I mean, I did growing up get like Easter baskets, which were really fun, and I like the Easter themed things like the peeps and the baskets and the ears and all of that. I think that's really adorable. And I always loved dyeing the eggs. That was like, I was giving art.
I love how you just breeze over the fact that you said you like peeps. Do you actually eat the peeps?
No, I just like what they look like.
Okay, because
no, I don't like the way they taste.
There are a few people who genuinely enjoy peeps, and I do not trust them.
It's an aesthetic. It's not a flavor. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. It is decor.
Like,
it is decoration.
I'm basically a peep. I'm basically just like a big, puffy marshmallow girl. You know,
Peep would be a really good drag
giant
name.
tits.
Peep would be a really good drag name.
That would be such a good drag name.
Like
Peep.
I feel like my
Peep
ears
something.
are not gonna stay on because they are meant for like decor.
It's just because you're like whipping around right now, girl, because you're so excited about Peter Rottentail.
I'm so excited to talk about this film. Out of the ones we're going to be talking about in April, this is probably the one I was the number one most excited to talk about because it is chaos. So chaotic.
That's a word for it. That's one way to say something about it.
So what do you do nowadays for Easter? You said you used to get Easter baskets. I know in New York they have the Easter bonnet parade. Have you ever gone and participated and worn a little fun hat?
No, girl. I don't think it's my scene. I mean, my mom will still like if I go to her house for Easter nowadays, she'll make like her famous coconut cake and like fried chicken and make deviled
Mm.
eggs and stuff like that. But like,
Deviled eggs on
girl,
Easter.
devil. Ooh, the devil's in the paprika.
Another
Spicy.
great, another great drag name.
Yeah. Paprika.
The devil's in the paprika.
Girl, Paprika was my favorite character on Blue's Clues. Can we talk about that for a second? Salt and Pepper done had a baby and it was Paprika.
That's drag.
I
That's
loved
drag.
Paprika so much. Anyway,
Okay, so I'm trying to think. I grew up, Easter was always like a really big deal for me, especially in the church, but also just like on my neighborhood. My entire neighborhood would like band together and have an Easter egg hunt like throughout everybody's houses. And they would corral all the kids at one person's house, and like one family would watch while like the 10 other families run up and down the neighborhood hiding all these Easter eggs. And then they would like let us free and run through the neighborhood, and there would be like golden eggs filled with $100. And when you're a kid, baby, it was
girl,
battle royale. You were finding that golden egg if it was the last thing you do. And I have so many fond memories of just like being in, digging through someone's bushes, and you just hear someone be like, I found it. And like your whole world crushing
shattered.
for you, knowing that
That's some
someone else.
Orange County shit if I've ever heard it.
Uh,
Honey,
and I remember one
$100
year,
bills.
it was in the barbecue, and I was looking around the barbecue, but then the kid next to me like lifted up the barbecue and found it inside, and I was so mad. Don't worry, like one year I eventually found it, but yeah, I love Easter. I love how kooky and pastel and bunnies, and it's fun and it's very brunch. Sunday best. People get all dressed up. Like it's very fun and colorful, and I feel like, you know, it's because it's springtime. It's really usually sunny. I just think
Is
Easter's
Easter
so
fun? But
cute.
is Easter fun?
Easter's fun. Easter's
Is Easter fun?
fun. I think more people need to get into Easter. Like, I get it. Maybe like religion aside, but like put on some pastel as I'm dressed in all black. Put on some pastels and like live your fantasy and get a fun hat. It's like the Kentucky Derby of holidays. You know what I mean? Like, wear a bonnet.
Okay, T. Yeah, I could get into that fantasy. Do you know why the Easter Bunny is the mascot? Like how it came to be related to like a religious holiday? Like what is the
Hmm.
connection? Do you know? I don't think I
I
know.
don't. And I feel like that's something I should know because I usually know like folklore. I
Or like
don't
why
know.
it's eggs? Isn't it eggs because it's all to do with like rebirth and stuff? Or am
Yeah,
I
but
making that up?
I don't know if that's true.
Okay, I might
Because
be making that
that's
up.
like when they say the candy cane is like the blood of Christ. And I'm like, I don't think the candy cane is a religious symbol, but like, okay, pop off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the eggs are religious symbols or if they just made that a religious symbol because it started
Mm,
becoming,
like
So,
commercialized.
yeah. And they were like, we have to figure out how to work with this.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good question. I should look that up. What I do know is the folklore of Peter Rottentail, how he came to be.
Okay, get into it because I don't understand.
Okay, so today, for everyone listening, we are discussing the iconic, legendary, spectacular motion picture that is the 2004 Peter Rottentail, made by the Polonia brothers, directed by John and Mark, written by John Polonia and John Oak Dalton. It is a masterpiece. It is a group of friends who came together and said,
I don't know about
"Let's
that.
let's make a movie." And the writer director said, "You know what? And I'll get in the bunny suit too. And I will write, act, and direct in this." And
You know
I
what? I
love
believe
that.
you. I
I love
believe
that.
you. I
I love
100%
that.
can see that happening.
I respect that. Any group of friends who can come together and say, let's just make a movie, I am obsessed with that because I know how difficult it was to make a music video. To make a hour and 11-minute film, that must that is so much work. And just the thought of they wrote the script together, they probably scouted these locations together. It's probably all their friends. They're probably in their living room when they're filming. They're probably using their own
Sounds
cars.
about right. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Like, and I cannot help but watch this film thinking about how much fun it must have been to make this film and how proud they must have been once it was over. I'll beat Muffy to the chase. It's an awful film. The spirit of the bunny did not like that. It is a, you know what? Let's just keep the ears off. It's an awful film. It is not very good. It is sloppy. It is poorly written. The direction, there's some choices, but there is something so
Hmm.
charming about it. It just has a little mystique. And so, with that being said, Muffy, thoughts, opinions. What did we think about Peter Rottentail?
I, I I'm flabbergasted because right before we started this, I said how horrible it was, and you said we're about to fight. And yet you just confirmed all of my feelings about this film. I said they had $500 and a dream, and they got their friends together, and they made this hour and 9-minute film that feels like it's 3 hours, but it's not. It's just over an hour, and every
Yeah,
waking minute.
but you don't find that charming? You don't find that so exciting?
I would if it was good. I don't know.
I just like
It was really bad.
there's so many little things I love about this film. I love how the main character
When it ends,
is what?
I said my favorite part about the film is when it ends.
Okay, well, that aside, I love how the main character is a man named Peter, played by the phenomenal actor Brian Perry and Brian Barry.
Hmm.
And he is a magician. And he's not a very good magician, but he's a magician and he's doing parties, he's doing gigs, he's doing kids parties, and he can't even afford a suit. You know what magician outfit they put him in? They put him in a Party City magician outfit. And you want to know how I know that? Because you can see
Because you're
that it's
wearing
just
it right now.
exactly. So you can see that it's not a real suit. It is not layers. It is one piece of fabric. One piece of fabric with some lapels on it and a bow. And there is a knot in the back. There are two little strings that come
Oh,
around the back that you
I know it
tie
very
like
well.
any Party City costume, and you just tuck that in. Because why buy a dress shirt and a bow tie and a suit jacket when you could just get an all-in-one piece of fabric to wear?
Absolutely.
And it was in that moment I went, we're in for a treat. We're really in for a treat. Do you think that when they reveal the magician's hat and there are already two holes that you see cut into the hat, do you think it is because they did not film that scene prior to filming a bunny scene?
Yes.
I was like,
That was
not the
definitely a direction mishap. That was a flop. That was a what? What?
no, continue,
What are you
continue.
about to the way that every time I say something you open your mouth to defend this movie? Go ahead.
Should we get
What is
into
it?
the black? Should we get into the blackface? Should we get into the black character, the voodoo man?
I mean, if you want to tell me why girl, yes, go ahead. Go ahead. You explain it. You explain it.
So our struggling magician stumbles upon a very mysterious man into the woods, standing by some
Oh my
truck
God.
stop, like he's cruising, and he offers this man a magical type of poppers, a voodoo magic poppers from Witch's Tears,
Rush.
and he's speaking with a very bad Jamaican accent. He says, "Man, oh, you should try this, man." It is giving cultural. The man reveals his hands, and it is a white man. It is a white man speaking with a very maybe problematic accent. You never see his face. He's wearing, long black hair, black cloak, black hat. And he tells how he is a voodoo priest. Um, at this point in the movie, I'm like, oh, we're really in for a ride. We're getting subtle blackface. We're getting cheap clothing. Like, what? What do these friends have up their sleeve next? And you know what was up their sleeve? Like magic, a rabbit, and not any rabbit. Peter Rottentail coming from the grave to avenge his wrongful death after he attempted to kill a child.
I did not
Did we
understand that
understand why
part. I
he
also
died or
don't know
how
why
he killed himself?
did the potion make him do that, and then he said, "This is my final trick," and then unalived himself.
Yeah, he tries to get revenge on the kids, but doesn't kill the kids because the kids are alive years later. But then he unalives himself after hearing that people are after him. But now he's back to normal. He's not under the voodoo magic, but then he's brought back to life as
Okay,
a rabbit
well,
like 12 years later.
let me just
There's a
read.
lot
Let
of
me do a
continuity things, but
a
you know
poetic
what?
reading of my notes for the first 20 minutes of this film. What is happening? What in the
Please.
film student hell? I am so uncomfortable. What in the hell am I watching? Is he about to shoot himself? The acting, OMFG. It's so bad. Like girl. Can you do
I
the
can I
same,
can do
please?
that as well. Ready? Not the vanilla extract bottle. I go. These transitions, these sound effects, these burp and fart noises. What a lame kid's birthday party. I would be so embarrassed if that was my party. The font, good font. Obsessed with this script.
Yes.
Carrot stab? And with that, we need to get into the carrot stabbings. So, for those of you who are unfamiliar with this film, Peter Rottentail raises from the grave a full man sized bunny rabbit magician, and he proceeds to attack people with a carrot. And the carrot punctures them and kills them as if it was some sort of dagger.
That's called
Um,
julienne
Baby, it was magic.
when you
It
get it
was pure
real
blitz,
sharp.
pure.
They don't teach you that
It
in
was
culinary school. Okay, I will say I
it was
actually really like
charming.
the
I liked
design
it.
of the monster of Peter Rottentail himself. I think if it were a high budget film, that the mask could actually be made to be kind of scary.
So don't worry, there are
Oh,
a few
girl, I'm
other
not
killer
worried.
bunny rabbit movies
I will
where
not be
they
watching.
amped up the production value. My my one note is the white fur face and the gorilla hands. Why were the hands black fur?
Girl,
What
riddle me
who
this whole movie, okay?
what is But one thing you can't
Oh
deny,
my god.
it's a gay movie.
Parker? I will not deal with this today. I will not accept any "this is a gay movie" shit from you on this day related to Easter and Peter Rottentail. I will not. What about this is a gay movie?
It was so funny to watch the girl, the nosy neighbor who was so relatable, be like, some gays are moving in next door. Totally gay. And then they have that one moment where he's flirting with her and she doesn't realize that because she obviously thinks he's gay and married to his cousin. She's like,
Well, gays couldn't get
you guys
married
are
in
just so
2004,
lovely,
so
such a beautiful couple.
she's wrong.
You and your partner. Uh, but
Oh,
she was so
that's good.
accepting. She was so ready to meet her neighbor. I just loved it. I mean, she also slept with a rabbit because she just was so down on herself. She was like, "That's what I can get." And then she slept with Peter Rottentail.
I, see, I was anticipating this episode to be a little difficult. I did not know how hard it would be to talk about this movie because there is so much there, yet there is nothing there at all. Do you know what I mean?
The language and the profanity and the like reads, the like little slapbacks, comebacks that the bunny would try to say at the end of all his kills, or when he's like, "I can't wait to get in her carrot patch."
It's giving
Like,
Thanksgiving.
what did he just say?
We'll get
Oh
there.
my
We'll get
gosh.
there.
Where did he say?
But why was he killing all these
When he's
people?
like,
What
"Oh,
was his revenge story?
honestly, I don't know." He was trying to get revenge for the fact that he was a bad magician. And those kids laughed at him when
Was
he
it
was
everyone who
bad at his
laughed at
job.
him?
I'm like, well, that's what I'm confused about because he's only really going after what the two main
But he kills a
boys.
lot of people.
But
Oh my god.
I just
I'm eating my words right now. I just looked down at one of my notes and it says a lot of gay references in this movie, lol.
right? That's what I'm saying. When she goes, "Yeah, they're definitely gay. You make a beautiful couple." I just every little moment you could tell that they thought they were so funny, they were so witty. With the moment when he's in his car and he's like, "Oh man, she thinks I'm gay." You know that they were like busting up laughing. They were like, "We have created the perfect joke." I even love how out of all of a sudden the guy like goes onto his porch and he's like, "Hey, is somebody out there?" It's like jewel tone lights on him. Like, where is this red light coming from? Like, when all of a sudden did this become an aesthetic A24 film? And the lighting is
You better
so
not talk about A24
like
like that.
purely aesthetic. I just was like, where is this coming from? You have not been serving this aesthetic the whole film. And now all of a sudden he's outside and there's a green light shining on him. There's a little bit of a pink moment. I'm like, what? Everything was so funny. The sounds they added every single time the bunny bounced.
And the weird like
Uh,
laughs that were like in two
burn.
different pitches at the same time. Girl, okay,
Yes.
can you,
Yes.
for me and yourself and the audience, break down what the actual storyline is? We know up until Magician dies, comes back as Rabbit, seeks revenge. Why, though? Why is he seeking revenge? Why does he end up where he ends up?
Okay, so online it's described as a doomed magician makes a deal with dark forces, which ends in tragedy. Soon he is back to exact his bloody revenge. Exact. I don't know what that means. What I do know is that a really bad magician is really bad at his job. He takes some vanilla extract poppers and goes psycho at a really lame kid's
So
birthday
really
party.
this movie is just
He
about
threatens
having a bad day at work. You know when you have those days?
when when there's no HR and you're all alone and you're not a part of a union and he's an independent subcontractor and he's just not making enough. Like, I love when I shouldn't say I love the part before he kills himself, but when he's sitting there listening to the radio and it's like the local magician is, or the local party clown, and he's like, all my life and they still call me the kid's party magician.
How does it feel?
I'm like, what else are you? We've seen nothing else. We have seen nothing else, but you do really badly at a kid's birthday party. Like, are you some famous? Like, you have no backstory to me. I don't feel bad for you. I've just seen you be really bad at
How
your
does it
job.
feel to see your life reflected
Why was
on
it
the screen?
yawning? That's so shady. But do you think I'm giving Peter
Yes,
Rottentail? Do you
that's
think I
what
could
this
be so
is right
iconic?
now. It's so good.
I just thought to myself, like, this would be so fun. Like, they had fun making this. Like, wouldn't you want to make a film like this? Like, this is fun.
I would not. but I'm having fun making
Not.
this and talking about it. So thanks, Peter Rottentail.
Okay, well, that's good.
Also, can I just point out the fact?
I mean, I do think
Can I just point out the fact that the last podcast that we did, we were not blonde. This podcast, we're both blonde, and it's giving blondes. I feel like the way we're talking, our personalities, we are just blonding it up. We're just squeezing.
honestly, anytime more people need to
I
get
know.
wigs because you just fully change. Like, you cannot tell me differently. But I think, yeah, just I watched this movie late at night by myself, just thinking, one, it's such an original stoner movie. All the marijuana
Super.
references, all the drug references. I could not imagine watching this movie being high. I bet it's such a whole different experience. It's already a clown show of a film. To be under substances while watching this, as the very poor special effects like have shining lights, and then all of a sudden when it went into like X-ray vision, and I was like, this is giving iMovie, Apple MacBook Pro.
Absolutely.
I just Muffy, I loved this movie. This is clearly a group of friends. This is so fun. This would be so fun to make with your friends.
Yeah, but don't watch this movie on acid because you will never recover.
This woman sleeps with a rabbit, and then the end when she gives birth to a
That's
rabbit.
what I'm talking about.
What did you think about the finale?
When that rabbit baby came out and started laughing, I was like, "Oh, this is Rosemary's Baby."
A sequel. We need to watch the
Absolutely.
sequel. That's what you were thinking. I know it.
I also wrote down halfway through the movie, I said to myself, just kick the rabbit in the dick. And then he did. That was the most satisfying, exciting part, is when the rabbit finally gets kicked in the dick. And I said, just do that. Just kick that rabbit in the dick. And he did it. And it worked.
Do you remember what the rabbit said?
No.
Or he was like, right in here. When he kicked him in the dick, and he goes, right in his turnips. Like,
a 12-year-old wrote this movie.
Tell they were, yes, the fight scenes, the marijuana jokes, I've got such a splitting headache, and then he like takes the axe and like splits his head in half. Like, you could just tell they were so proud of every setup, of every delivery.
When the rabbit shows up in the basement and the guy just goes, this is private property. You can't just be all up in this shit. What kind of line?
When the rabbit shows up in the basement the first time, and the guys are just like, man, I must be getting a contact high.
This movie changed me. This movie is an enigma, a conundrum. I really don't know what else I can say about this film. I think that I want everyone to watch it just so that you can understand what I had to go through for this episode of this podcast, and then join in with me on how fucking bad it is.
Also, I'll wrap it up with one final thing that happens in the movie. One of the actresses, there's a scene where she goes to bed. She just lays on top of the bed. She doesn't get under the covers.
Well,
she doesn't snuggle in. She just simply lays on top of the bed. End scene. That is a really good description about how this movie goes. how far the actors take things. It's very surface level, and I enjoyed it. Would I recommend it? No, I would not recommend it. But if you want a good time, put it on. Let it play. Let it play in the background while you dye your little Easter
I would
eggs.
say calling anyone involved in this film an actor or an actress is really stretching it. Giving them a lot of credit.
Well, I hope they're listening. I hope they're listening, and I
I'm,
hope you're happy.
I am
I
so
enjoyed your
happy.
work. It was very controversial, and some of it was very problematic, which I maybe shouldn't endorse. But I'm really glad that you and your friends got together and made a movie, and I'm really proud of you.
And I'm not. You failed. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
So what you're saying is, to wrap it all up, you're not adding it to
I
your
would
calendar.
not ever watch this movie again. I mean, I really wrote down, this is the worst movie I've ever seen, like, period. So, no, I would not. But again, some movies need to be watched just to see what they are and just to experience them, no matter how bad they are. A lot of movies become cult classics like that and aren't the best movies, but end up being fierce. And maybe someone out there feels that way about this movie, that someone is just not here right now. So,
Okay. I'm here.
well, one's
And
a
I see
crowd.
them. And I recommended this film. You know, it's a Halloween crowd.
Plug it, girl.
So
Available on iTunes and
what
Spotify.
what I'm trying to figure out how to wrap this one up, because this is definitely a trickier one. Is it the worst film we've watched so far on Calendar Ghouls?
Yes.
It probably is. It probably is. Am I delusional enough to still recommend it? I am. Because it is films like this that when you watch April Fool's Day, you're like, damn, April Fool's Day is a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is a great film.
Loved that one.
This movie had some potential, question mark. I just don't understand what a magician had to do with anything. Magicians are not very Easter. I would love an Easter Bunny killer, though. I would love a good Easter Bunny horror movie, and I think there's a lot of potential there. Do I think that voodoo black bayou magic with a magician that tried to kill a kid at a kid's party was the way to go? No, I don't think that was the way to go. But there's some sort
Is
of
there
potential
not an
there.
Easter Bunny killer movie other than this? Is this the one? Is this what we have to go from?
There are a few, but they're sort of all in this vein. None of them are like stars. At least not that I've seen. But who knows? That's the point of Calendar Goals. We're here to find it. We just haven't found it yet. So if you know an iconic Easter Bunny killer horror film, let us know. DM me Easter horror recommendations, your Easter traditions. I love Easter, and I want to know how everybody is
Should you say
celebrating it.
everybody?
So you know where to read, where everybody is celebrating it. Yes,
Okay.
Muffy, let me celebrate. Let me be hip and hop. Where the doll's gonna find
Gonna find
you?
me watching something else.
Yes. You can plug yourself.
Other than this film.
Okay.
You can find me on Instagram at It's Muffy Queen, ITS Muffy Queen, and I'm bookable in more ways than one. That's my tagline. I just came up with it today.
Yeah, you said it in the other episode and I was living, and now you're saying it again. I'm like, oh, it's not a one-off. Like, this is the tagline.
I don't really know what it means, but
and I'm here for
I'm
it.
multi-talented. I'm interdisciplinary. I mean, look at me.
I mean, that's to be determined. That's, I guess, the viewer's opinion. Anyway, I'm Mr. Heat. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for celebrating. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, subscribe, 5-star review. Let us know your thoughts and opinions on this movie. It's a wild ride, but if you hate it, you guys, we warned you. We warned you. Anyway, see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.